we have found that the best way to assemble these pulls is to complete the sub-assembly of each of the key components first, prior to assembling them all together. So the first step in assembling the Laghetto Dolce Vita rattan above ground pull is to complete the leg assembly. To make it easier to assemble the vertical and horizontal posts, a screwdriver can be used to temporarily support these pieces through the small hole on the bottom of the vertical post. In this case, I've not needed to do so as I'm using an elevated platform to help support all pieces. To attach these pieces, use the M10x70 bolt, nut and washers to secure the spacer in place. This bolt can then be tightened at this stage. Next we assemble the cross brace using the M10x15 nut, bolt and washers, and if you use the screwdriver as a stopper, this can be removed. Each of these bolts can be tightened at this stage. While we're working on the bottom of the leg assembly, we can add the alignment kit. These pieces allow for further adjustment later in the build to ensure that all the wall panels are level and plumb. Secure the L bracket in the correct orientation using the M8x20 bolt and its accompanying washer and nut. Then insert the M8x50 bolt through the vertical leg support and secure loosely to the L bracket you've just added. Be sure to use all 4 of the washers and the 3 nuts on this assembly. While assembling the alignment kits, take note to only fasten the highlighted bolts as we'll tighten the rest later. Moving up to the top of the leg assembly, the crossbeam adjustment pieces can be added. Be sure to tighten the L brackets firmly to the leg support. The vertical adjustment bolts can be loosely installed as they will be tightened later in the build in order to level the crossbeam sections in the case that the base of the pull is installed on isn't level. There will be 8 leg assemblies for a 4m by 2m pull, and there will be 12 leg assemblies for a 5m by 3m pull. Next up, we've got the crossbeam assembly, which comes in 3 sections. The silver coloured aluminium extrusion will hold the pull liner in place. The crossbeam reinforcement piece ensures the assembly can support the weight of the pull without sagging. All of the bolts can be securely tightened for this piece at this stage, as no adjustment is needed later on. There will be 8 crossbeam assemblies in total for a 4m by 2m pull, and 16 crossbeam assemblies for a 5m by 3m pull. Finally, we have the 4 corner piece assemblies that consist of adding the floor cap and alignment brackets. Just like in the leg assembly, the adjustment L bracket can be firmly secured at this stage, but it's best to leave the vertical support bolts loosely tightened as they will be secured once everything is in place. With all of our sub-assembly components complete, we can now move on to marking up the slab to begin installation. It's important at this stage to accurately position your markings and ensure they are all square, as this will impact the final positioning of the pull. An easy way to mark a square outline on the slab is to first draw a line and mark your start and end points so the pull's length is centered on the slab. From here, draw corner arcs for each position using the lengths outlined in the manual for the specific size pull that you're installing. The intersections of these arcs indicate the other corners of this rectangle. With the 4 corners marked out, identify the position of each leg support and begin placing the legs upon these marks. For both a 4x2m and a 5x3m pull, the distance between the centre points of each leg assembly is 1m. At this stage, the leg supports can be secured to the slab. In this demonstration, we chose to assemble the horizontal cross beams while we were waiting on a concrete drill to arrive on site. To assemble the cross beams to leg assembly, use the M8x20 bolt, nut and washers. There should be 2 bolts per side. Don't over tighten these at this stage, as further adjustment may be required once the entire structure is in place. In order to complete the assembly of the cross beams, the corner posts will need to be added. These can remain unsecured until all other cross beams have been installed. At this stage, a concrete drill arrived and we could drill an 8mm hole to secure the leg assemblies to the slab with the provided anchoring pins. At minimum, 2 should be used on each leg in an offset configuration, and 1 should be used on each of the corners. When securing the corner legs, ensure they run plumb to the floor after they've been secured to their crossbeams. Next, we can tighten each of the crossbeam and leg adjustment bolts to ensure that everything is aligned correctly. At this stage, all nuts and bolts should be tight. The liner comes folded in a particular direction so that when it is installed, the plumbing and light connection points can be positioned on the correct side of the pool. Be sure to position the liner appropriately for your installation. Once unfolded, the liner can be inserted into the aluminium track relatively easily. In order to secure it in place, use a provided rubber gasket to wedge it into the channel. This gasket can then be gently persuaded into place with the use of a rubber mallet and a wooden wedge. The gasket should be inserted on every side of the pool as this holds the liner in place. Cut off any excess. With the liner in place, we can now focus on the top wood panels. These use a T-slot bolt to secure the panels to the crossbeam assembly and a compressed pin to connect each panel together. Be sure to use the foam spaces between each piece. Using a rubber mallet can help persuade these panels together, and if the pins are too difficult to insert, they can be gently hammered to get a better taper on each side, which may assist in assembly. The corner panels work the same way and use an L bracket that can be screwed from beneath to keep them together. With the top panels in place, you can now choose a location for the ladder. Be sure to ask the homeowner where they would like this positioned, but keep in mind that the ladder needs space to sit out from the pool wall and may require special consideration in regards to pool fencing requirements. Note that the ladder can only be installed on the longer side of the pool and cannot be installed at a corner location. On the chosen section, install a leg brace with the bolt connecting it to the 2 leg assembly sections. In order to secure the ladder to the chosen section, drill 2 holes 49 cm apart through the centre of the slotted cutout sections of the crossbeam. The ladder can be secured through the top panel and to the leg brace. With the ladder in place, we can begin attaching the rattan panel supports. These timber sections are secured to the leg assembly using a bolt to offset them 6 cm from the face of the leg support to the face of the rattan panel support. There will be 1 for each of the uprights used on the leg assemblies. With the rattan panel supports attached to the pool frame, the rattan panels themselves can then be prepared for installation. Each panel requires 4 4mm holes to be pre-drilled through the rattan panel's frame in order to allow a black deck screw to attach them to the support panel. When drilling the holes, try to shift the fibres of the wicker to either side of the drill bit before drilling. Each hole should be drilled approximately 20 cm from the top or bottom of the panel and aligned to the centre of the frame. Note that the hole position should be consistently measured, as the screws will remain visible once installed and inconsistently placed screws will look strange. When attaching the rattan panels to the supports, start at the centre and work your way to the corners. It's best to dry fit the panels into position first, in order to find the correct spacing needed between panels. Use of a spacing block can assist in ensuring the gaps between panels are consistent. When ready to install the panel, ensure that it sits flush against the top deck. And with all plumbing connections in place, the pool can now be filled.